I think what happens is people have their income, they rely on working for a business or an organization where their paycheck is being, the money they earn comes from something that's related to a religion. So politically, you're going to have a philosophy that you'll espouse to people that you won't talk against your profession, against what you do for a living to earn income. Because if you were to somehow reveal to your superiors or your people that are paying your salary or your paycheck that you might insult them if you take a certain philosophical position or political position, whatever you want to call it. It seems like that people have to maintain this persona or this attitude, this of not offending people that have a religious viewpoint on the world. By that I mean if you're espousing atheism and you're calling religion and spirituality as something that's a mental disorder, that people that believe in God, the God is in their own brain, and they should see a psychiatrist, or if you feel that in a way religious dogma has impeded scientific progress, then the people that are your constituents that pay for your salary, that support you financially, they will be more inclined to look disfavorably upon you when you go for your annual review, or you're being contested against another candidate that you work with in your organization to get another position, to get a raise or a bonus. So if you publicly denounce any belief in any gods or any kind of belief in any religion, it makes you look unpatriotic, and it might be something that would look bad on the business that you work for. So if somebody sees you or knows of you presenting a position that's in opposition to what their livelihood is, let's say they work for a business that makes it's a cattle industry, right? Or they work a meat packing plant, and they go home and they make a video and tell everybody how meat is bad, it's evil, that you should be vegan and stop consuming meat. So in a way, their boss watches the video and goes, we don't want this person working for our organization because they're promoting, their ideology will take business away from our business. Well, in the same way, religion is a lot like that. I think it's like you don't want to offend people in your family, especially if people in your family are taking their religious beliefs very, very seriously, and their identity revolves around their commitment to an organization such as a church or a temple, or if it's, then you might be offensive to your brothers and sisters because here they are living and believing, taking seriously a belief in a God and following the teachings in the scriptures, and you're proclaiming your disbelief, and that would be that might cause friction, especially at family reunions, at funerals or weddings or family get-togethers. And also, so I've noticed at my job, at jobs that I've had, where places I've worked, where if you mention religion or you mention philosophy or politics, of anything that regard, it's an impediment to the smooth flow of the normal business operations. So now you have this not only do you maybe not like the people that you work with, but on top of that, now you know their philosophy of life and their their own spirituality, and it makes you very, very much uncomfortable trying to work with that person because it creates on-the-job stress. It's now it's your religious ideology is in opposition to their worldview, and they they may see you as being mentally ill if you're a believer in Jesus and you believe in the Bible. They might see that as a form of mental illness, or they might see atheist as somebody that's unpatriotic or that's immoral. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know where I'm going with this. It's just me talking, trying to understand my own, why it seems like there's so many taboos in the workplace and in family also. It's like when I start talking about my own personal philosophy with my brothers and sisters, cousins, uncles and aunts, or parents, and you know, even that, and my wife, it makes tension because you've reached, I myself have reached a certain conclusion about what life is that they don't have that same understanding that I have. I'm not boasting. I'm not trying to say I know more. I'm just saying that I've studied a lot of science, and I understand the world from a more of a scientific point than a lot of people I know do. So it kind of makes it dark. It makes people think that you're depressed a lot. And you start looking at the world and the earth and the history of life and what life is, and it can be very, very depressing. So if you're at your work and your job and you're not, I also go, oh, I feel fine. How are you doing today? Oh, I feel great today. And you smile and you put on a nice face and you act out that you're a happy person at your job. That's all your employer cares about. So if you're good at that and you're a very logical and person that sees the world from, really have a good, solid, clear understanding of how the world works, how nature works, and you're around a lot of people that are very, they don't think a lot, they don't think deeply a lot about the natural world, or they don't think very much about philosophical matters. So as a person, you're in this job and you're around a lot of people that are happy all the time, that like doing things that are like, sports, and they like gambling, and they like, doing things like, hunting and fishing and having contests and and doing a lot of things that are just like very, very, activities that you're not interested in. And I'm finding myself, I'm spending a lot of my time watching teaching company courses, and which I honestly, I put them on when I'm going to sleep at night on the DVD player, and it really is a strange universe. It really is really weird, this place. And you get used to being alive, and then you stop and really think about what you are. A sack of water, bones and carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, magnesium, calcium, phosphorus, and all the cells in your body, and what your brain is, and what your nervous system is, and how your body works, and all that. And then you get depressed, right? Because you start thinking about you're only here, and then you're going to die within a short time in the scheme of things. And it will have been as if you had never been, which is very depressing to think about that. But if you don't do anything with your life and you don't leave a legacy of work, whatever you've done in your life, when you've lived your life, how you produced an effect upon the world, if you don't leave anything behind, then it's very depressing, more so. And I think what hits me a lot about like being a childless person, never having sired any children, and that one thing in the back of my mind that I grew up with, thinking that I might have a family someday, in the back of my mind, that's gone now. That will never happen. So, that I accept that fact of my own life at this time. I accept that as being, that's just the way it is. If I was independently wealthy and I had a lot of influence and I was had a better status in society, I would probably more adopt children from orphanages like over in China and India and, I don't know, Mexico, other third world countries. I'd go to there and adopt children, or supporting orphanages. Be personally involved in raising children somehow, having an influence on them, helping them in their education. Because all the kids that are alive now, the small kids that are just out there that are in these unwanted families, that are these living in dumps and barely scraping by and just barely getting enough to eat, living out and squatting in little villages and in huts in Africa, and barely having enough clothes to wear. And there's so many small children and young kids that live, hand to mouth. There's just hardly can afford, a bowl of rice every day. So you really think about how harsh the world is, and that you didn't cause any more children to come into the world. So that's a good feeling that you're not adding to the problem by having another mouth that's going to use resources, another person that's going to live a whole life and consume all of these resources and compete against the people that are already here for those same resources. And it would be, it's a grand dream to have in your life and to be able to strive for remediation of the suffering, to diminish the amount of suffering, to take away that suffering that would have been by your being alive and the decisions that you make, how you live, that you've alleviated suffering. You were able to cause help cause less suffering in the world while you were alive. That would be a noble undertaking to be able to live that way. I honestly can't say that I've, really accomplished a lot being alive. Though I hope that some of my works that I do set an example for some people somewhere. Like the solar power and the rainwater capture and the gardening videos that I made. The quit smoking video too. I hope that somebody else has benefited from those videos. I've inspired somebody to maybe, plant a garden or put up solar panels or capture rainwater, or just try to live like,